Maybe you're new to Qigong, maybe you've been teaching for a while. Either way, both experienced and new teachers, I've seen a lot of people make this same mistake. My name is Nick Loffree. I've trained hundreds and hundreds of Qigong teachers, both through my own school and my master's school, who when I apprenticed with him, part of my job became to certify the new students, check their forms, check their teaching skills. And there's a few things that I've noticed that are just kind of really common errors that people make when they're new to teaching Qigong. And I've also even seen this, taking workshops. I've taken workshops with lots and lots of different very famous and popular and experienced Qigong teachers. And even with them, I'll often notice, especially this one mistake, that I think if people clean this up, it would make their Qigong classes so much more enjoyable to the people taking them. So that mistake that I've noticed is the cueing of the breath. It's not that they cue the breath wrong, it's just when they do the cue. And so this is something I think a lot of us do unconsciously. I think I've made this mistake a lot, and I probably made it until I started noticing other people do it. And then I was like, oh, was I doing this? But it goes like this. You're teaching a Qigong class, you're moving on to the next exercise, and that exercise is linked with a long, deep breath, as many, if not most, Qigong exercises are, right? So let's take one like lifting up the sky, right? We float the hands up, press up towards the sky, and then send the hands out. Right, that's the motion. Then we have our breath, right? So our breath is, we might inhale through the nose, maybe do a little breath hold, and then exhale through the nose on the way down. Lots of variations on that exercise, but just to kind of have something to work with here. So what people do is the first repetition of the exercise, they say, all right, hi everybody, this exercise is called upholding the earth. And here's how it goes. You're gonna have your palms face up, and we're gonna take an inhale. And as we're inhaling, we're spiraling the palms. And make sure those fingers are nice and spread open. We're gonna look to the sky and press up. This is working on your triple warmer meridian. Triple warmer meridian is a pretty weird one, but it works with these three burners, right? You have the chest, that's your upper burner, then you have your middle burner, then you have your lower burner. Anyways, that all works that. Now make sure you're really stretching here. And all right, let's exhale as the hands come down. And then, do you get my point? If you don't see it, you might really be doing it, but hopefully that was really obvious what the mistake was there. And that's that I said to inhale at the start, but because it was the first repetition of the exercise, I had a lot to talk about as I was going through it, right? So if the class has never done this exercise before, you might instinctually kind of slow down those first few repetitions and kind of break down everything your hands are doing. You might throw a little philosophy in there, a little energy anatomy or something, right? So we might have a lot to say, and they've been inhaling that whole time. It's now the whole class, by the time they're here, they finish their inhale, and they're now just holding their breath. They're trying to be polite and not exhale. Some of them are sneaking an exhale real quiet. So you might not know your students are doing this. It might be too nice to tell you, but I guarantee you they are, because even for me, someone who'd been doing Qigong for years, when I started working with getting students certified, and people would be teaching me like this, I would be absolutely about to pass out. And I'd been training all these breath hold techniques and everything for years, and I'm about to pass out. So imagine they're new students who are brand new to Qigong or things like this. So obviously this changes a little bit depending on who your demographic is. If you're walking into a yoga studio and you're teaching people who've been practicing pranayama and yoga and everything for years and years and years, they're probably gonna have a pretty good lung capacity, right? So it's all relative. If you're walking into a gym where people are just, they're not used to kind of breathing exercises, things like that, they're gonna have a very small lung capacity relatively, usually, unless maybe they're a swimmer or something. So however you teach these movements, the pace kind of has to change to match your audience. And sometimes it's a mixed audience, and you just kind of shoot for that middle ground. But when it comes to this first instruction, it doesn't matter how much breath hold your clients have been, or students have been doing or practicing, you can really string that out, right? So you want to kind of quicken it up. So what I do is, instead of trying to fit all my descriptions of how to do the exercise into that first breath, what I do is I actually don't tell people to breathe at first. And I'd say that is the one key that makes this the easiest to not make this mistake. So as I'm doing it, I'll describe the exercise. I'll say, okay, so let's have our hands face up. Let's spiral the hands as they're going up. Make sure they're flipping towards the sky. Press up towards the sky and find a nice stretch here. Your fingers are pointing towards each other, right? I have all the time in the world to say all the cues and everything physical that I want people to do, because nobody's holding their breath, right? And so once we've established the movement, maybe we go through it 1 or 2 times, we know how to do the physical movement and exercise, then I'll bring in the breath. I'll say, all right, and now we want to inhale on the way up, exhale on the way down. If you pay attention to my videos, you might start to notice that I do this. Inhale on the way up, exhale on the way down. And then what I'll do, step number 3, so step number 1, I describe the physical motion. Step 2, I describe how to breathe with it. Step 3, I'll be quiet and I'll breathe with them. And this is how I can gauge the pacing, because sometimes what we do is, because we were describing it, we weren't really breathing with them because we were talking. So maybe the movement's going way too slow for maybe people who are new to Qigong. So if I stop talking and I just breathe with them, then I can start to feel that, like, oh, this is kind of like, Qigong master kind of slow speed, and I want to get this to beginner speed. So I'll say, oh, let's just go a little bit quicker here. Or maybe I'll notice that because I was talking, I was kind of rushing. Or maybe I was nervous while I was teaching because this is a new group of people and I'm a little on edge, right? So maybe I'll be moving a little too quick out of my nervousness. Yeah, guess what? Qigong teachers get nervous too. That's okay if that's you. It happens to all of us. Even my master would get nervous sometimes. He goes and teaches 1,000 people or something. Oof, something new. So if I'm going too quick, I'll say to everybody, all right, now let's even slow it down a little more. But I'm gonna notice that when I shut up and I breathe with my class, do the exercise with the class instead of talking. And then number 4, now if I wanna talk about how this is for the triple warmer meridian, or tell them to visualize steam, or whatever you bring, whatever kind of mental, spiritual kind of qualities you want to bring into it. Now that we've established the foundation, the movement, the breathing, the pacing, right? Now we can bring in something a little more like mental, or some quality of intention, or even just attention. Pay attention to your breathing, pay attention to your body, because we've set up that foundation physically of what's happening. I tend to think of this a little bit like a hypnotist. A hypnotist, before they say, all right, I'm gonna snap my fingers and you're not addicted to cigarettes, first thing they do, the old-fashioned ones at least, would swing that stopwatch. They might count slowly down from 10. You're getting more and more relaxed, more and more relaxed. And then once you're in that hypnotic state, that's when they'll drop that suggestion on you. You're gonna quit smoking, but now you're receptive to it. And so the Qigong's the same, I think of it. We're putting people in a hypnotic state through the movement, the pacing, and the breathing. Once they're in that state, their energy body, their mind, their subconscious, all of it is more suggestible. That doesn't mean you should be taking advantage of that, but it means that the mind will have more power to influence the body and vice versa in that state. So that's when you want to drop that, all right, imagine golden light in your heart, or pay attention to the sensations in your fingers. Like, all of those cues become so much more powerful once we're already in that state, instead of starting there from the get-go. So hopefully that gave you something to think about for your Qigong classes. I know I've told countless individuals this, so I thought I might as well just go and make a big video for the multitudes to watch, and just kind of get that idea out there, because I think it's such an easy thing to do to improve the flow of your classes, and everybody could be doing it. Even the big masters and everything sometimes I think could think about this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you ever come across anything like this in Qigong classes, your own or somebody else's. And if you like this content, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I make lots of Qigong and nature content for you to enjoy for free right here. And of course, if you're ever interested in doing my teacher training, I run it online, usually twice a year. So you can find info to that down below in the description, where those teacher trainings, we learn lots and lots of exercises of Qigong, Daoyin, purging, stretching, warm-ups, flows, postures. We really try to dial all that in, give you a good toolkit, going kind of broad, but also as deep as possible in each of those exercises to make sure you really master it. And if you're ever interested in doing a teacher training with me, you can find info on that below in the description. There'll be a link, and you can go to my website and learn all about when the next one's running. Usually they're online, run them twice a year, and we certify lots of people, and lots of those people have already done Qigong teacher trainings. They're already Qigong teachers, and they're just trying to add to their tool belt and knowledge and skills. And we have acupuncturists go through it, Chinese medicine doctors, and everybody always seems to think that they got a lot out of it. So I'm very proud of the program. I try to put a lot of value into it for the money, and I think it's pretty helpful for most Qigong teachers. So if that's you, maybe I'll see you there. If not, thanks so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of what's on my channel.